everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notify button so you know when you're getting new episodes. And we just want to grow this project. I thank you in advance. Without further ado, let's get it rolling. The Shout Out Show. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. This is me, your host, Preacher Moss, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. I hope everybody's having an incredible Thursday. I hope things are working out for you. Whatever troubles that you're dealing with, I hope they resolve themselves. And if you're having a good day, please have a better day. Today's Thursday is a little bit different. Normally we do Throwback Thursday, but we changed it up a little bit. And I'm going to tell you why I changed it up a little bit, because today I'm going to be talking about, you can see it on the label, the lower third. Our topic today is 2 types of justice in America. Now, I have to take a lot of time and sensitivity for what I'm about to say, because I really feel strongly about being responsible for what I say. As a Muslim, as an African American, as a citizen of the world, what I'm about to say is very, very important. I'm going to try and make sure that I get all of the nuance together. I have to get the nuance together. This has plagued me all day, last night, today. It plagued me for a lot of reasons. It ruined my mood, along with, not ruined it, but it redirected my mood. You know, I rarely say, oh, I'm sad or I'm having a bad day. I'm blessed to be living. Let's just start there. I'm blessed. Allah forgive me, I am not complaining. But something happens in these particular situations, and it twists your insight a little bit. It twists your insight. It molds you as a comedian, a thinker, a creative. Something came upon me last night, and I really couldn't let it go. And the reason I'm saying I couldn't let it go, because it bothered me, because it was a conversation I heard years ago, 5 years ago. I was going to actually put it on today. It was a conversation between Big Boy, the radio DJ, Big Boy, and Minister Louis Farrakhan. And he foretold of this situation, and the beautiful part, or the amazing part, was he foretold of it, but it was also a foretelling from him, to him. So it was a chain of command, if you will, a chain of transmission of ideas, and I don't want to miss that. So let me please give some shouts out. First of all, if it's your first time on the show, we appreciate you coming on the show. We ask that you do us a favor, click the subscribe button, click the link button, and you are officially a part of the Shout Out Show, the SOS. Appreciate you. Second of all, we want to make sure that we give you a compelling argument to come back. I want to do that for you as well. For those who are coming, I see some people in the chat box, Sister Santiago, Sister Misa, all y'all, listen, thank you for being part of the SOS family, and we hope that we can expand. We also have our sister, Walaikum Assalam Rahmatullah Barakat, Sister Tana, the consulting producer. Without her, this does not happen. Sister Santiago, we hope that's right. That's right. It's in your home state of Kentucky, and you do not agree. I don't agree with anybody being shot, but let me bear down on what I'm going to talk about today. All right. Walaikum Assalam Rahmatullah Barakat. We were ready to have a decision just recently in the death of Breonna Taylor. I talked about this partly about a $12 million settlement that her family is going to be getting. It still doesn't bring her life back. You know, money is money. The interesting thing was the charge of wanton endangerment had to do with the police shooting into an apartment, endangering not Breonna Taylor, but her neighbors. And the thing that shouldn't be lost is the person who actually was indicted was being charged for murder, if you will. Indicted, or the person who actually killed Breonna Taylor never got charged. Let me say that again. He never got charged. This is the person that shot into the building, endangered the neighbors, the person that actually killed her did not get charged. From there, let me begin my dissertation, if you will. There's two types of justice in America, brothers and sisters. Two types of justice in America. There's the justice that is being trying to be served as justice right now, and there's the justice from the past that the present is trying to forget. That justice is being thrown out of the window. It's being rewritten. I said earlier, that in America, the 98-pound weakling has a protection. That protection is the Constitution. And the people that are weaker than that are the ones who try to manipulate the Constitution. You already know these things. This is not new stuff. But what I'm about to tell you, or what I'm about to share, is new stuff. Let me begin. There is a systematic effort right now to make sure that we will not connect with the past success in terms of getting justice as opposed to what we see now. What we see now is lip service. We see marches and things like that, but they are not changing or even interrupting the calibration in terms of law. There was a young man on television, I can't remember the name of his church, who almost had a heart attack talking about the fact that Donald Trump has appointed more judges in his 4 years than Jimmy Carter did in his years. 198 some judges at appellate level, at the district level, at the local level, and brothers and sisters, none of them are black. You hear me? None of them are black. They do not reflect any kind of diversity. So if you don't have black, a few of them are going to be women. I don't even think it's going to be any Latinos, but none of them are black. And I said, well, okay, what does that mean? It means that there's an effort right now to rewrite what justice will look like now moving forward. What's my proof? Everybody says, what's your proof? I'm going to tell you what my proof is. Ask children about 9/11. Ask children about 9/11. And their interpretation of 9/11 is going to come from books if their parents aren't around. Their interpretation of 9/11 is going to come from the political, I want to say, the political new narrative about America being this great protector by basically victimizing the people in his own country. We talk about going overseas, but in America, more injustice was done in the name of we are America, American exceptionalism, and fighting terrorism than anybody wants to admit. The prison population exploded, brothers and sisters, exploded after 9/11. And the people going to prison were not terrorists. They were black, Latino, and poor. The Patriot Act allowed for new types of searching right now. You hear what I'm saying? Sneak and peek. All of a sudden, anybody could plant something in your space. Anybody could make a case against you without you even knowing about it. I'm talking about knowing about it in terms of legal protection, legal precedent, and it's over. It's done. If you really want to look at COVID right now, COVID-19, coronavirus, novel coronavirus, it is literally wiping out a history, a whole demographic of people that can tie us to the past in terms of what justice looked like. Well, did I tell you that? Let me say it again. It's literally wiping out, brothers and sisters, a whole demographic of people who can tell you what justice looked like, and particularly African American, Latino, poor can tell you what justice looked like. You know why? Because they fought for it. These are the precedent generation that sat up there and did the marches, but they also had constitutional lawyers. Right now, we don't have constitutional lawyers. We have personal injury lawyers that file civil suits and things. They win awards, but they don't change laws. No offense to Brother Crump, no offense to anybody like that, but I'm saying, look at what we're doing now. And if you're looking at what we're doing now, it's obviously become a problem. Could it be said that now, because this is interesting, now what you have, brothers and sisters, and I don't want to get anybody upset, but if this were a game, And in some regards, it is. If this were a game, literally, African Americans, poor, Latinos are losing in the justice game. In the justice game. We're great in the outrage game. We're great in the protest game. We're great in the we want defunding police game. But we are 0 and about 9 in terms of how do you switch around the law game? How do you breed a whole constitution, not constitution, just a whole generation of kids, people that can look at law and go, this is wrong. And because of that, we're not going to be producing the next generation of people who can interpret the law. Let me say that again. We're getting to a space where we're not generating the next generation, we're not producing the next generation of people who can interpret the law. The people who can tell me about law are like my father, they're like my mother, they're like my aunt. And the reason why they can tell me about law is because they can tell me when the law was the law. It was wrong, but it was the law. So Jim Crow was the law. Segregation was the law. There was no board of education, Brown versus Board of Education. There was none of that. And we have disconnected from them and had help because we don't ask these people. And now, if we put 20 years on our lives, brothers and sisters, everybody put 20 years on your life. You're either going to be me, I'm going to be in my 70s, or you're going to be in your 90s, or you're not going to be here anymore. And for those who are not going to be here anymore, if you put another 20 years on their life, they take with them generational knowledge, information, and strategy. Now, I'd be a fool if I told you that I thought that Breonna Taylor was going to get justice. I don't believe in a justice system like that, never have. It's corrupt, has been corrupt for a very long time. You cannot tell me that that system works for people because it's the same system it's the same people, same system and people that basically oppress folks. We got some more people in the box. Sister Ika all the way from Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi all the way from Indonesia. Oh, there we go, Miss Eleanor and her crew. Miss Eleanor, I just wanted to let you know we had 100 subscribers. I would be a lot more festive if I wasn't dealing with the stuff I'm dealing with right now between Breonna Taylor and just 200,000 people passing away. And think of this, folks. Where in American history, from where we are, we've gone through wars, we've gone through illness, there has never been a period of history since I'm here, and I'm saying 53 years, whereby we lost 200,000 people. 200,000 people, and the leader showed little, if any, empathy. The leader knew what was going on. And you know why he does that? Because he's the classic 98-pound weakling. And the only thing that gives him strength and courage is that this thing, the justice system, the corrupt justice system, the laws are going to work in his advantage 9.5 times out of 10. I talked about Karens yesterday. Why was Karens important yesterday? I'm going to tell you why. Karens were important yesterday because they pointed out the fact that the laws support Karens. The laws uphold a white virtue. Why would that not be a surprise to any of us? The scope of it is, brothers and sisters, the law has 2 flaws. Number 1, it's man's law. Number 1 is man's law. Number 2, it ignores God's law. Why do I say it ignores God's law? Because there's no compassion. There's no mercy. Everything is pragmatic. There's black and white. And if you can't figure out something between black and white, you're allowed to make it up. We have now entered to an extremely dangerous territory, brothers and sisters. And I want to be as clear as I can that there's 2 justices in America. There's a justice that they're trying to give you moving forward. That's a new historical imperative. That's why you see people acting like this, acting out of character, showing up in places where they know going to be black people using the N-word. All of a sudden, I'm showing up to black places of worship. I'm killing people. And to my point, the law has been allowed to play havoc, to move, if you will, any aspects of justice, to be a policeman, brothers and sisters. And I told you guys on the episode I talked about the police caliphate. Remember that? The police caliphate? That the police have to operate in a particular situation because it benefits police. I don't mean just police. It benefits the whole idea that we are now looked upon as assets. Assets. And what do you do with your assets? You protect your assets. And so, if anything, the police departments around the country have become protectors of assets. And if they can't control you as an asset, then they will break you as an asset. They will make you an asset. And when I say make you an asset, I tell young brothers all the time, when you go into court, you are not there to give your side of the story. You are there to find out. They will look at you. They will find out, are you a good candidate to go to prison? Let me say this again. When the police pull you over and they run your tags, young brothers, before we get into these histrionics, I want you to know what's going on. You are being profiled as a candidate to become an asset. So when you go to the prison systems, those aren't inmates, brothers and sisters. Those are assets controlled at the highest level. And the only thing that could be better than those assets in prison is having more assets go to prison. And so when you see a Breonna Taylor, there's a word. In fact, there's a movie I'd like for you to see, a documentary. Breonna Taylor was a young, vibrant young lady. But let me give you the game on what the world sees Breonna Taylor as. And there's a movie called The Corporation. You should check it out. It actually was referred to me by Mr. Dave Chappelle, as a matter of fact. And I watched this movie. She's an externality. Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Sandra Bland, Mustafa Muhammad, Mukman Muhammad Jr., they're all externalities to this system, which means for me, for A to do B means that C might be violated. It is a redirection of the alphabet of humanity, if you will. For me to go and, you ever heard of Manifest Destiny? That's what they did with the Indians. They took their land in the best interest of America, knowing that you didn't treat them as Americans. How could that even happen? But it happened. That's how Indians wound up on reservations. I mean, pieces of paper called treaties don't mean anything. They don't mean anything. And right now, this justice system doesn't mean anything. And when I say doesn't mean anything, I'm saying it doesn't mean anything to them. It's two justices. There's the justice that's meant to protect them, and then there's the justice that's meant to oppress you. Protect them, oppress you. Remember I talked about that police caliphate thing? Yeah. Their job is not to do police work. It is to be engaged in activity that continue to grow assets, to grow revenue off of assets. I talked about Ferguson, Missouri back in the day. What was it? They were locking up black folk left and right. They were giving them high price jaywalking tickets. Who gives jaywalking tickets? They're giving jaywalking tickets. Where'd you park? You know, there was a story of a guy who got pulled over. He was already in his car parked. The policeman ran his tag, and then he winds up going to jail. But that's profiling. But in this space, it's called justice. So let me give a shout out to Sister Rabina. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's right. The prison industrial complex is privatized. Brothers and sisters, it is privatized. But let me get back to my point here. In 20 years, what we're seeing right now, if we don't stop it, will appear to be the norm. I don't know about you, but I woke up this morning, I looked at the Breonna Taylor thing, and they've had it was 65 years away from the verdict of the white men that killed Emmett Till, and they were found. They only deliberated an hour, and 2 killers walked away, 2 or 3 killers. I don't know. They walked, but the point is, they walked away. The killers of Breonna Taylor walked away. And oddly, though it's 2020, I woke up this morning, it felt like 1940 to me. It felt like 1950 to me. I felt old. When I say I felt old, I felt like my connection to the world under the auspices of this justice system, hell, I might as well have been doing a guest spot in To Kill a Mockingbird. I could have been right beside Brock Peters in To Kill a Mockingbird, because that's what's going on now. When a man says, I'm going to rebuke the same political process that put me in this seat, and I may not want to relinquish the presidency if I don't feel like it. What's that sound like, folks? That don't sound like America. That sounds like a master who feels like he has slaves. That sounds like a dictator. That sounds like all kinds of things we've been told about in our lives about justice, freedom, and equality is a damn lie. It's a lie. And they've been working on this lie for years. And what I fear is, especially with our youth, they're going to wake up. And when they wake up, and it feels like 1940, 1950 to them, they're going to wild out. Mark my words. They're going to wild out. Sister Santiago said some cops got shot. Yeah, they're going to wild out. Cop got shot in L.A. Sheriff went after LeBron James. I don't know what that's all about. But brothers are going to start wilding out because the logic and the reason and the trust are going to be totally gone. I'm 53 years old telling you right now, I don't trust this system. And I'm saying I've come to it honestly. I've had my own engagement with the justice system. Well, I call it the farce of a justice system. And my point is, I only survived because maybe I went to college. Maybe, you know what, I had parents in the house. You know, and I tell folks all the time, I was blessed. You know, my parents grew up hard, but you know what, I give it to them. You know, they worked hard, had a nice life. And what they always introduced me to is, here's the other side of the folks right here, who your brothers and sisters. They're not in the suburb. Those are brothers and sisters, the ones that are struggling. Those are the folks that you're supposed to help because we put you in a position to do so. And a lot of my witnesses, I've tried to do that. But even me, in this honest attempt, I can't save them. I can only educate them about what's going on, but I can't educate them about exactly how you change it because this system is so far away, so far down the road now. The fact that somebody could pick up a phone, tell a lie, know that when the police show up, 9 times out of 10, the police are going to take their position, and that person is going to be duly arrested, duly oppressed. We have a guest we're going to try and get on our show, Brother Yusuf Salam. He was one of the Central Park Five. The Central Park Five. And this president literally wrote, he bought an ad in the New York Times basically saying, you know, kill them Negroes. That's what he was saying. Kill those Negroes. Give them death penalty. And he was wrong. And he never revisited that wrong. And now he's president. Now he's president. Now justice will become what he wants it to be. That's what happens when you appoint judges, brothers and sisters. You want perception to line up with your expectations, to line up with your ego, to line up with your arrogance. And that's what we have right now. It has been a rewriting, brothers and sisters, of the Constitution. And you have people who are sworn to uphold the Constitution. But I'll be doggone it if they don't play to their own personal interests, if they're given the opportunity to say so. If the opportunity lies there and they can do it, they will do it. You know why? because there's nothing to bear pressure, right? There's nothing to bear pressure. There's nothing punitive about me not doing my job. If I'm lying, why wasn't the president fired? You got to impeach him. Why wasn't he fired? If I take a job at McDonald's and they put me on fries and I'm working on fries and every 5 minutes I'm burning up the fries, somebody's going to say, hey, listen, you need to work it out. And if I keep burning up the fries, what happens? I get fired. It's not the fries, brothers and sisters, that I'm burning up. It's the safety of everybody else in the McDonald's. We have a president that set this house on fire, set this country on fire. Instead of him giving us water, he gives us gasoline. He pours gasoline on this thing. And people sit around going, well, I wonder if he needs some more gasoline. No, he needs water. We need water. Clarity. Something pure. Something that brings us back to integrity. I'm going to give a shout out, Sister Ree. What's up, Sister Ree? Hope you're feeling well. But let me wrap on this. When George Floyd hit, it was terrible, right? That was the thing. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was not Breonna Taylor that broke the camel's back. It was George Floyd. We saw it in real time. People had cameras. It went viral. We didn't see Breonna Taylor get killed. What we did was we heard and we got records and we got testimony that she was shot in her apartment. And bear that out, brothers and sisters. You know, there was an accounting, if you will, police accounts, witness accounts that she was murdered. And now, the proof is she was murdered. We're not debating that. The thing that was different is that her case had to filter through police narrative. It had to filter through police narrative. And police narrative always lines up with the Justice Department narrative. I tell brothers, when you go to court, the prosecutor has a job to do, and that's to get prosecutions. That's to get convictions. Conviction rate at courts are 98%, 99.5%. Meaning when you go in, you're not coming out whole. Even if you are found not guilty, just the amount of money you have to invest in your own court costs could personally financially break you. It can financially wreck you. The thing about George Floyd was it didn't filter through police narrative. We saw it real time. We saw it with our eyes. You know, someone sent a picture the day of or the day right after it, and it became a firestorm. That said, the proof in the pudding, what I'm saying is justice didn't change. It didn't change. If we were really going to do something, and I hear a lot of people saying, we got to get out and vote. We got to get out and vote. Yeah, I agree with you. We got to get out and vote. But you're going to have to develop your own justice system. In your house, in your neighborhoods, in your cliques, in your businesses. A justice system that works for you. I would suggest respectfully that we begin to look at challenging constitutional law. And we began popularizing. Now, here's what I'm saying now. Popularizing, being experts at constitutional law. And we grow a generation of people that can argue constitutional law at the state level, at the federal level, at the Supreme Court level. Because there's something else I want you to know about that 20 years I talked to you about. Some of those justices ain't going to be here in 20 years. Whoops. It works both ways. And maybe we, brothers and sisters, can begin producing the lawyers that will eventually become judges, that can eventually become Supreme Court judges, working on appellate courts, We're talking about this blue wave. We need a blue legal wave. I don't even want to say a blue legal. We need a realistic, we need a moral legal wave to be able to interpret laws. And I think once we get to that space, I think we have a chance to flip this around. Digress. So what I'm saying is not difficult. It's not impossible. It's just that it's not being discussed enough. Someone had the temerity, the gentleness to break it down to me in terms of what we want. He said, what do we want? And I had to say, you know what? I'm 53. What do I want in 20 years? Guess what? I'm not going to be wanting a whole lot. It's going to be the people who are 20 years younger than me, 40 years younger than me, who grow up, not just like in rap, not just like in basketball. How can we make constitutional law cool? And like I said, produce a generation of thinkers. You don't even have to be a lawyer, but a generation of thinkers that understand law and what people get away with according to the law or the misinterpretation of law. I'm not going to hold you guys up anymore. You've been great. I appreciate you. God bless you. If you have any more comments, you can listen to them in the back on the way out with the music. Appreciate you guys. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please don't forget to vote, get your ballots as well. Don't forget about the census, because the census is something that is under attack too. So make sure that you do that as well. All right. See you tomorrow on the ShOUT show, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your ShOUT show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next ShOUT show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from ShOUT. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out ShOUT.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.